you'll remain standing. Raise your right hand and face the clerk, please.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? You may be seated. Please state and spell your first and last name for the record.
My name is Roberta Lee-Kennett. It's Roberta-Kennett.
May I proceed, Your Honor? Do you want me to call you Ms. Lee-Kennett or Ms. Kennett?
Lee-Kennett's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ms. Lee-Kennett, were you ever employed at the Public Administrator's Office?
Yes, I was.
And I'm sorry, but you have a soft voice. Can you just keep it up a little bit or
Sure.
pull that maybe a little
Okay.
closer?
Yes, I was.
Thank you. Do you remember what year it was that you started working there?
I've been with the county 12, 13 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that your first job at the county?
I worked for the public guardian's office first.
Public guardians and then public administrators?
Yep, a few years after that.
Okay. When you started working at the public administrator's office,
Yep.
who was the elected public administrator at that time?
That would have been John Cahill.
Okay. At some point, Mr. Cahill decides not to be the public administrator, and a new one comes in. Is that fair?
Yep.
And who was that?
Robert Tejas.
Okay. And you looked over at council table. Do you see him in the courtroom?
Yes.
Could you describe an article of clothing and point to him, please?
He's in a suit right there.
Like
A
on.
gray suit.
Thank you. Thank you. What was your job title at the public administrator's office?
Estate coordinator too.
And as an estate coordinator, can you just give the members of the jury like an idea of what your responsibilities were, what you did?
It was our responsibility to administer probates, estates assigned to us.
Okay, estates assigned to you. And some people may have familiarity with that. Did that involve houses of people that maybe died with not immediate heirs?
It would be decedents who had any property, personal, real, anything that needed to be administered through the probate process. It was our job to either sell or basically you want to end up with income at the end of the probate process so that you have a distribution for heirs or beneficiaries.
Okay.
So,
And so it would be sort of handling what's
what's
left
handling what's left of the person, right?
to
who
give to
passed.
their heirs.
Correct.
And then that position that you had was called estate coordinator?
Correct.
Were you the only estate coordinator, or are there more than one in the office?
I was not the only one, there were more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did some of that estate coordination involve you maybe meeting with people fixing up houses or people in real estate?
Yeah, if a decedent had real property and that needed to be administered through the probate process, sold, fixed up, yes, we would have to partake in that.
Okay. So sometimes you would be going out to houses and walking through them, working with people that maybe worked on the houses in order
Working
to
with the
sell.
vendors, correct, yes.
Okay. Now, you indicated that Mr. Tellis came in as the public administrator at some point, kind of succeeding Mr. Cahill.
Mm-hmm.
Is that yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you remember what year that was?
I think it was 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could it have been 2019?
Oh, I honestly don't remember what
That's
year
okay.
that was.
That's okay. When he came into the office, you were working still there.
Yes.
Did he implement certain changes about how yourself and other employees could go about their work?
Yeah, there were lots of changes.
And were those changes well received by all of the employees, or were they kind of divisive?
We were very divisive on them.
Okay. At some point, would you have considered yourself friends with Mr. Tellis?
At some point, I mean, sure, not in the beginning, but
Yeah.
sure.
Over time,
Over
did you
time.
develop a friendship?
Yes.
I want to kind of move to May of 2022.
Okay.
Did you become aware that reporter Jeff Garriman was possibly writing a story that would have included information about you?
Yes.
Who told you that Mr. Garriman was writing that story?
Rob did.
And by Rob, you mean Mr. Tellis?
Robert Tennis, yes.
Did he give you contact information for Mr. Gehrman
Yes,
to call him?
yes,
Did you talk to Mr. Gehrman?
I did.
And was that a brief conversation?
Very brief.
Okay. Do you remember in May of '22 if Mr. Gehrman ever came to the public administrator's office?
He did,
And what was his purpose in coming there?
just to actually see the office, and I don't know, Rob invited him over to take a look and see what was going on in the office.
Okay. And so Mr. Gehrman was present in the office at some point in May of '22?
Correct.
And that was at Mr. Tellis's invitation?
Correct.
And do you know if Mr. Tellis sat for an interview?
It was on TV, but yes.
Okay. Was there, to your knowledge, a news story that followed that interview?
Yes.
And what was Rob's reaction to that news story?
I don't think any of us were happy about that news story.
You were not happy.
Yes.
I guess I should say it this way. Were you happy about the news story?
I was upset, embarrassed, and relieved all at the same time, I think.
Okay. Upset, embarrassed, and relieved. What was Mr. Tellis's reaction?
I would assume upset.
Did he ever talk to you about that story?
Yes, we talked about that story.
What did he say about it?
He was not happy about it.
Okay. What were his feelings about Mr. Gehrman?
He did not like Mr. Gehrman.
Did you ever describe it as stronger than dislike?
Like hate.
Hated
I
him?
would assume he hated him.
Did he ever tell you he hated him?
Yes.
He had said that? I assume that was after the story was written?
Yes.
Were there other stories besides that first one that followed?
Yeah, there were a lot of stories that followed.
And in those succeeding stories, I assume, did Mr. Tellis's feelings about Mr. Gehrman change, or did it sort of stay in that negative hate space?
I honestly don't know if his feelings changed about it. I just think they were terrible stories, intentional stories, so.
Okay.
It ruined his career, right? It
Ruined
his
Mr.
chances.
I'm sorry?
It ruined his chances to run, so I would
Okay.
assume he'd be upset.
And by that, you're saying at the time, Mr. Tellis was running in a primary for public administrator,
Right,
and those stories were published, is that fair?
yes,
And then Mr. Tellis lost the primary,
yes,
meaning he wouldn't be public administrator the following year.
correct.
After Mr. Tellis lost that primary, let me ask you this. When he lost the primary, did he lose the primary to someone who was already working at the public administrator's office?
Yes, Rita Reed,
And was that one of the employees that was kind of against his changes?
yes.
After he lost that primary, did he come to the office?
Not as much, no.
Okay. Was he like working from home or staying away?
Working from home, he'd come in and sign checks or sign legal documents.
Okay. Did he ever express concern about Mr. Gehrman writing another article?
No,
Did you ever hear, like you said, he had said that he hated Mr. Gehrman. Were you two communicating much after he loses the primary?
not very much, no.
Okay, and that's because he was primarily working from home or coming in?
Correct.
Did you ever know Mr. Tellis to respond to things Mr. Gehrman had written on social media?
I'm so sorry, can you repeat that?
Sure. Were you ever aware of whether Mr. Tellis responded to stuff Mr.
Oh.
Gehrman had written on social media?
Yes, yes,
And it was called Twitter back then?
correct.
Did you have a feeling about whether or not he should do that?
Yeah, I told him to stop.
And did you just think that was going to cause more problems?
I just felt like the more you were responding with Mr. Gurman, the more articles were going to come out for no reason.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So after Mr. Tellis loses the primary, that's in June, is that correct? Do you
Sure, I don't remember.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
okay. Sometime after that, do you become aware that Mr. Gehrman has now made another public records request?
Yes,
And I assume it's after the primary.
correct.
And that's for communications between yourself and Mr. Tellis?
Yep, and then also between Rita Reed and Mr. Mike Murphy.
Okay. And did the county notify you that, hey, you're gonna, this request has been made for your emails and that sort of
Yes,
thing?
yeah. Communication, the Director of Communications or another representative from Clark County
Okay.
sent me an email about it.
Okay, and then I want to now move forward to Labor Day weekend of
Okay.
2022, so this will be September. Do you recall if you went into work at all on that Friday of Labor Day weekend?
I did. I went into work on Friday. I had found out the week prior that I was getting to transfer to Clark County Social Services, where I work now. And so I had over 60-some cases assigned to me that I had to complete case statuses on for the next person who was going to receive that assignment. So I went in with the intent of overtime to work on those case statuses. And I saw an email from the communications department asking us to review these emails that were going to be sent forth
Okay.
to German. So I ended up that morning requesting overtime for that instead of doing my case statuses.
Okay.
So yes.
May I've shown both these exhibits to Mr. Draskovich, Your Honor. May I approach the witness? Ms. Lee-Kennett, I'm showing you what's been marked as states 341 and 342. 341 is just a calendar, just so
Okay.
we can talk about when we're talking, or when I'm asking you questions, and that appears to be a calendar for September 2022, correct?
Yes.
And then, 342, it's redacted, but it appears to be an email to yourself and Mr. Tellis,
Okay.
and it's from September 1st, is that correct?
Okay, yep.
State moves to admit 341, 342.
No objection.
I'm going to put on the overhead states 341, which is our calendar. And I think you said that you went into work on the Friday before Labor Day weekend in order to catch up on some past casework?
To complete case statuses, not catch up, but case statuses for when I moved on.
Okay.
Yep.
And so that would have been on Friday the 2nd?
Correct.
And I don't need to know the exact time, but did you go in the morning, or when would you have been there?
Yeah, in the morning, 7, 8 a.m. I don't remember. I'm sure Human Resources will have my
Yeah,
time
because you would have
clock,
had to
so-
log in on a computer.
Correct.
But you said that you saw an email with regard to the messages that were going to be released.
Correct.
What was your understanding of the date they were going to be released?
I had no idea when they were going to be released.
Okay, did you feel that there was some urgency for you to go through them on the Friday?
I believe there was a deadline of when they had to be reviewed by.
Okay.
So yeah, there was urgency.
Okay, and so instead of doing your work, you start going through this group of messages that may be released to the reporter.
Correct.
And that's all on the 2nd.
That's correct.
Now I'm putting on the overhead 342. And does that appear to be an email? I mean, it's sent at 5:45 p.m. on the 1st, so you would have seen that email on,
Friday, because I leave work normally 5 p.m.
so you
The
would
day
have.
before, I didn't see it on Thursday, correct.
Okay, so you received the email about the messages, but you don't see it until Friday, right?
Correct.
So the email is sent out on Thursday, hey,
Yep.
go through the messages, and then you go in on Friday and start going through the messages.
Correct.
Okay. Now, did you ever talk to Mr. Tellis about the group of messages that were going to be released?
After I had reviewed them, I had created like a Word document advising him what concerns of some of the emails exchanges. My concerns were about some of our vendors named in there. And that was it. I actually said, like, I really don't care what was in here. There doesn't appear to be anything beyond the name of one of our vendors that I had concerns with.
Okay. Did he raise any concerns to you about what was in the group?
He did not.
Okay, so you sent him, is it fair to say, like a Word document by
Correct.
email to say,
Yep.
these are the things I'm worried about?
Correct.
Okay. After that, do you do anything with regard to those messages?
No?
I assume at some point you leave work on that Friday,
Correct.
and you go home, and I'm just gonna put on the overhead 341. You go home, and I assume at some point you see some news broadcasts about Jeff Gehrman?
Saturday morning, because it was my intent to go back into the office that whole weekend to complete my case statuses. So I wake up, I look at local news every morning while I'm getting ready. I saw on Twitter, or X, whatever, an article about Gehrman being murdered.
Okay.
And so that freaked me out, yes.
And once you learn of that on the news, do you have communications between yourself and Mr. Tellis about the fact that Mr. Gehrman had been murdered?
Yes, I had reached out and said something to the fact like, oh my gosh, Mr. Gehrman's been murdered. Sent him a copy of the screenshot of that and said I was not going to go into work anymore.
Okay. And was that just because you were a little bit
Yes.
concerned about your safety?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
And Mr. Graskovich, this is 343. May I approach, Your Honor? Ms. Lee-Kennett, I'm showing you what's been marked States 343. I know you probably don't recognize the type of document it is, but do these appear to be text messages between yourself and Mr. Tellis?
Right, yeah, from that morning, yep.
Okay, in fact, I gave you a copy of
Right.
this a few days ago for you to review.
Right,
And so this is a fair representation of your communications?
yes.
State moves to omit 343.
No objection.
I'm turning to the, excuse me, the second page of the, the third page of the document. And it appears to be a text from you, right?
Yes,
And it's from 9/4/2022, and it looks like it's at a little after 7 a.m. And
Right.
you're saying, oh my goodness, Jeff Gehrman died.
yep.
And it looks, just from the punctuation, like that was surprising to you.
Absolutely.
And I think you said that you sent screenshots of the
Of that
articles.
article.
This is on page 4. It looks like there's a communication on 9/4, same date, and it looks like you send a screenshot to Mr. Tellis of like communication on social media. Is that fair?
Yep,
And the second message appears to be, we have a bigger version of it, but a
I can't see
screenshot of
it.
the article. Is that yes?
sure, yes.
Okay.
I can't see it, so.
Yeah, I actually have a
Just
bigger
assuming.
version. I'm
Okay.
one step behind you. So does that look like a readable version of the screenshot of what you saw on social media about Mr. Gehrman's death?
Sure,
And then,
yeah, that's what I thought I sent, yes.
okay. So those were sent to Mr. Tellis.
Correct.
And his response, this is on page 5 of the document. It's kind of focusing. His response to you is holy shit,
Yeah, yes.
and you actually respond.
It's all over Twitter.
It's all over Twitter.
Correct.
So then do you communicate with him your concern about going into work?
Yes,
And so you, I think if I'm understanding you, you opt not to go into work that day?
absolutely not, correct. I stayed home.
Okay. I want to move on. This is page 34 of the documents. And it looks like, are you able to read that up there from you? Yeah, I'll brighten it. me zoom in a little. So this is a communication, it looks like, from you to Mr. Tellis on
Okay.
9/6 of 2022.
Okay.
And it looks like you write, have you received a
Received
response from Jeff or the DA? Just wondering.
Okay.
Do you know what that's in regard to?
I do not remember. I'm just looking at that. I don't.
Okay. Was it, do you think it was in regard to the records? Or do you not remember?
I
or-
don't even remember what Jeff I'm talking about on there, or the DA. Probably, yeah, our DA for Clark County.
Okay,
But yeah, I don't remember.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I don't remember a lot.
that's okay. But, I mean, fair to say that's what that text says.
Sure. Yeah.
And the only DA, I mean, like, the DA that you would have been interacting with would be like the DA civil? who was-
For public
those-
administrators, correct.
Okay, dealing with those messages?
Right.
Okay. And then this is page 36. And it is from 9/6 of 22. And you send a message, Rob, WTF,
Yeah.
please do not be driving your Yukon around for a while.
Correct.
What had you seen that made you send that message to him?
I think what everyone else saw, that Yukon in the photos
You mean
or in media,
the media messages that
Right.
Metro sent out
right?
of a car associated with Mr. Gehrman's murder?
Correct.
And had you known Mr. Tellis to have a similar Yukon?
He had driven it to work a few times. I believe it's his wife's vehicle.
Okay.
Yes.
And so you're kind of like, whoa, don't drive your car around
Yeah.
for a while.
Yes.
And then his response is, that's crazy?
Okay. Yes.
Is that fair?
Yep.
And it looks like, this is page 37, you say,
Yep.
please tell me your Yukon is not that color.
Correct.
You wrote that.
Correct.
And this is page 38. He says, it is similar if not the same.
Correct.
And you ask him another detail, do you have racks on yours too, meaning the,
Right. From the photos, right?
okay. And this is page 39. What do you say?
Please tell me you don't.
Okay, and then,
I'm freaking out, Rob.
and are you starting to get nervous?
Yeah, I'm starting to suspect.
Okay, and then this is page 40. He says, yeah, I think so, it's fine, I didn't do it.
Right?
And then you ask another question about his tires.
Right. You don't have special rims, do you?
Okay. And then you, this is page 41, tell him I am, and then,
Very worried. Correct.
and you then say, what?
I say, it's not you, but they could try to use the vehicle as a way to suspect you.
And then his response is, my car has all matching wheel patterns.
Okay?
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then, this is page 43. You seem kind of bewildered. You say, I don't understand.
Correct.
And then you say,
Your rims look like the photo.
and this is page 44. He answers you, I think they are saying that the front does not match the back.
Correct.
And then you say,
F, your car is identical.
okay.
Yeah.
So you kind of communicate with him back and forth, fair to say, based on what you saw
Right.
from the Metro release of the vehicle.
That's correct.
Okay. And those are contained in these text messages that we discussed.
Yes.
Do you know what trillion is?
Yes.
What is that?
For me, it was just an instant messaging app.
Okay, like Snapchat or something like that?
Correct.
Did you install that ever on your phone?
I had.
And who asked you to install it on your phone, or?
Rob?
Rob, tell us?
Mm-hmm.
Is that yes? Sorry.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you installed it?
Yes.
Did you two communicate through Trillian?
We had. Yes.
Court's indulgence.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll pass the witness your